Testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me? I think we're live. Coffee with Frankie, Sunday morning, October 19th. Let me know if you can hear me out there. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Let me try something. Look at that. Arlen Abraham says loud and clear. Oh, but look at this comment on screen. It's way too small. So I was able to. Now we're in OBS Studio this morning, and we're using the Chat Ninja, but we got to figure out how to use it. So obviously this is too small. What if we made it bigger? See, but this comment. Okay, now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty. We got to mess with these settings, man. Mark Sanchetti's here. Good morning to everyone making the coffee now. All right, so these are coming in pretty good. We're messing around with OBS Studio because it's free. StreamYard is $45 a month. Frankie needs to economize. This is the coffee. I am the Frankie. Man. All right, so it is Sunday morning. We do have football on, by the way. The Rams are playing the Jaguars over in London, over in Phil Adams' area of the world. And apparently now they're going to be up 14-0. Devontae Adams gets away with a push-off. Nothing new. But basically, Matthew Stafford showing high-level quarterback play, and Trevor Lawrence surprisingly showing low-level. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. See if that works a little better. Bring the microphone down. Now, one thing we have going on, we popped out the chat. Any of you creators out there, you can pop out the chat and make sure it comes in. And we got Arlen Abraham, loud and clear. So, looks like we can bring up any of the comments. So this is good. So that's working good. We got the size right. Here's Phil Adams again. Audio visual, 100%. So this is working out pretty good. Now you notice there's no FSPN stuff. So the thing with OBS is you got to get plugins, and you got to search around for good solid plugins because they're all, if you don't want to pay any money, and we got to make sure they're not, buggy. But PC Salami's here, and Todd is here, and JoJo's here. JoJo, you're number 2 on the top fans, buddy. You got to get up to number 1. We got looks like Phil Adams is number 1. JoJo's number 2 on the fan leaderboard. You guys got to get on that. Now, so this little chat widget, this is working great. OBS live streaming's working great. Now we just need like an overlay with the FSPN logo and maybe some music. So you notice we didn't play the Frankie song today, but and I do have a little bit of a head cold, I guess. I apologize for that. I'll be fine. I play through pain. But so all of those music elements were stored in StreamYard. You upload them, you store them there, and then you can play them whenever you want. So obviously OBS doesn't have that, But I bet there's a plugin that I could get that has something like that. So that'll be the next step. I wanted to test out the chat. Obviously, getting the chat and getting it on screen was objective number one, while making sure it works. And then getting these chats on screen, because we tried this the other night. By the way, we've been doing live quarterback charting and on Monday and Thursday nights during the games. And so we've been testing OBS during the live charting during the the primetime games. So if you want to join for those, I would encourage it. You can see how my quarterback charting system works, and it's working out great, I gotta say. And members of this channel also get a summary of that charting for all. And so I'll also do all of the college, well, not all, but a lot of the college quarterbacks, which are going to become important. And so if you're a member, you get a summary of all that work. So in a nice spreadsheet. So you can check that out. So I would encourage folks to join the inner circle. Click the join button below this video or any video. As Trevor Lawrence runs around and tries to do something and gets sacked instead. Boy, what has happened to Trevor Lawrence? I don't know. So Mark says, hey, it's looking good. Yeah, it's looking pretty good so far. I'm impressed by this. I mean, if you could get, 85, 90% of the functionality of a service that costs $45 a month, every single month, imagine what I could do with an extra $45 per month. And you get OBS for free, absolute free, and it has all these plugins and has all this stuff. I mean, it's a pretty easy choice. Brian Goldstein's here. Now, I think YouTube is doing this thing with the usernames where some usernames have numbers and things next to them. So I don't know what's going on with that, in case you're wondering. I think it's a YouTube thing. Brian wants to know about the O-line. We don't really know, Brian, but I will tell you, something we should do is we should be calling Bill Callahan immediately. So some of you may have noticed that the Tennessee Titans fired their head coach, Brian Callahan. Well, his father is Bill Callahan, one of the great offensive line gurus of all time. And he used to be a Jet coach, O-line coach back in the day when we had a great O-line. And now he's unemployed. So I don't know if he'd want to come here and work for Aaron Glenn. I don't know. But we should give him a call and give him whatever kind of money you would take, because one of the best O-line coaches is now on the market. And so I don't know. He's an older guy. I don't know what he wants to do with his career, but that's something we should do. Remember, we have a rookie O-line coach, which is one of the many mistakes that Aaron Glenn has made. You do not hire a rookie O-line coach. Jojo says, ready to break down these college quarterbacks. Yeah, so I've done the most. I've graded Simpson the most. So just for your information, Jojo, Ty Simpson graded out as an A. Now, I just grade the throws. Let's not get into my system, but it is very good. And so it has very specific things that we could talk about on one of the primetime games or whatever. But JoJo is a frequent visitor and a commenter and a chat member during those live streams, so he has more context than folks who haven't been watching with us. So JoJo, Ty Simpson yesterday got an A in my system, and that was the first A of anybody, pro, college. So that's how good he was yesterday. Was he perfect? No. I made no quarterback's perfect. And I didn't get to grade, I bet you if I graded Mendoza yesterday, it would have been an A too, because, I mean, the man put up numbers that are unbelievable. But I couldn't watch that game because YouTube TV didn't give it to me. Some reason I went to watch it, it's like, this is not available. I'm like, what do you mean it's not available? I'm paying for YouTube TV, the NFL package, and Indiana versus Michigan State is not included. I was like, what the hell? So I didn't get to watch Mendoza, but I bet you he would have gotten an A also. Just looking at the numbers that he put up, it was incredible. So, um, yeah, Simpson and Mendoza, like I told you, JoJo, it's playing out pretty much like we thought, right, JoJo? Simpson and Mendoza, 1-2, and then we got to see about the rest of these bozos. Dante Moore is, TBD. Dante Moore put up big numbers, but it was yesterday, but it was against Rutgers. So I mean, come on. Uh, Todd says I will miss the game today, going to Pumpkin Farm. Yeah, this is what's going to happen with Jet fans more and more often, right? More and more often, people are just going to be like, do I really want to watch this game, or do I want to go to the Pumpkin Farm? The Pumpkin Farm is fun. The Jets are not. So I think more and more people are going to do like old Todd here and be like, yeah, I'll find out what happened afterwards. So that's the risk. That's the risk that Glenn and Woody are running. And, losing some percentage of the fan base is not going to be a huge percentage, but, people are going to start tuning it out and start doing other things with their lives, instead of continually being tortured by these people. Now, this is giving me. Jojo says, think I saw some elite throws yesterday. Yeah, Simpson had, I think, 3 or 4 elite throws, and that's a very high number. In our system, it's hard to get elite throws. So if you're getting 3 or 4 and you're limiting the bad and interceptables, well, you're going to get a great grade. PC Salami. Yeah, that's how it works, PC, because it's going to be a rental. First of all, it's a running back. Second of all, he's a rental, unless they want to sign him long term. But you're not going to get much for a rental running back. I mean, almost regardless of talent. Plus, he hasn't been like he's not like he's been good, but he hasn't been great. Put it that way. So anytime you're in a rental situation, you're not going to get a lot back. That's just economics. Todd says, I'm not buying or selling. I'm just celebrating. Man, 3rd and 2, and Trevor Lawrence just threw a 1-yard pass. That's not high-level quarterback play. But now it's 4th and 1, so you chopped it in half. Mark says, the top 3 QB to draft that would fit the pro game. Well, it's basically Simpson, Mendoza, and probably Dante Moore. Though they each, you could nitpick any of those, really. Like Dante Moore is kind of young, doesn't have that much experience. Ty Simpson doesn't have a ton of starting experience, but man, is he good. Mendoza is probably the most pro-ready if you think about it. But the season's not over, and I haven't charted all the quarterbacks. That's the other problem. That's why I keep telling you guys to join the inner circle and start charting on your own, because I can't chart everybody. Like, I didn't even see Mendoza yesterday because I couldn't watch the game. And so I also couldn't check out the Michigan State quarterback who might be good for next year. Childs, I guess boy, Trevor Lawrence stinks. My goodness. But some people like this kid, Jordan Maeva, out at USC. I haven't laid eyes on him. I don't know what Jordan Maeva's all about. So that's the problem. There's too many of these kids. So that's why I'm trying to form the Jets unpaid scouting department and get more people looking at these games. The system's really easy to use. Inner Circle has different levels. $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. Then you can get the tools and chart some of these games yourself. It's very easy to use. We tend to just chart the throws because that gets you everything else. I mean, some of the other things like running and pocket presence, that's there. You don't need to chart that every single game. But what you do need to chart is the throws. And if you do that, you get the decision making, you get the processing, you get the pre and post snap reads. Because if you're not doing those things well, you're going to be making bad and interceptable throws. That's what I've found. And so it makes it very simple. You just keep track of how many of each kind of throw, and then the system gives you the score at the end. It adds it up for you and then tells you what kind of a grade it is. It's pretty simple. But so the problem for me, Mark, is that I can't, like I did 3 games yesterday. That's 6 quarterbacks, right? But that's only 6. There's lots of others I wanted to see. Oh, boy. I don't know what happened to Trevor Lawrence, but he is playing like dog doo-doo. Very, very bad. He can't even hit a simple crosser. Throws it to Travis Hunter, throws it over his head. It's hard to know whose fault that was. Oh, it got tipped a bit, but still. Man. Trevor Lawrence, generational talent. Actually, I'm going to get a hat that says generational talent. Old Dave says, hey, what are the chances that Garrett Wilson plays today? Well, I would say the chances are slim. They didn't rule him out, though, which is interesting. We'll find. They didn't rule him out, so he'll probably just be inactive, and probably means he's back next week, I would guess. We don't know. But the interesting thing is not whether Garrett Wilson plays today. The interesting thing is that the Jets, in case you missed it, ruled out Michael Carter II, which is interesting because he had 3 full practices this week in the concussion protocol. So either he had some symptoms that came back, or maybe he's involved in a trade this week. So we got to keep that in mind. So Tampa Jets fan is talking about Carson Beck. So one of the reasons we have the Frankie grading system is to avoid bullshit. And this is something I guess I should explain too. One of the problems we have in the world is the media. hate to tell you, Tampa Jets fan, the media is, no matter how much you hate the mainstream media, you should hate it 100 times more. And there's all sorts of people manipulating the media who have vested interests in doing so, like Carson Beck's agents, people from University of Miami, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these people all over, not just with Carson Beck, but all over regarding everything, who want things to go a certain way so that they make millions and millions of dollars. Oh, the Frankie system just grades the throws, and we grade these people. We're not making millions of dollars. We're hardly making any money here. And so that is why we have one of the reasons why we have our own system. We cannot rely on anybody. There's only a few people in this whole world I trust, when it comes to media inputs. Very few people. And then for almost everything else, I have my own system because I can't trust anybody else. Who am I going to trust? These idiots who are all wrong? I mean, these people who put out grades on these high school quarterbacks, by the way, like these 5-star recruits, generational talent. You know who the number one, going back to 2005, the number 1 rated quarterback, going from 2025 to 2005, coming out of high school, the number 1 rated quarterback, guess who it is? I'll give you a second. Put it in the chat. No, you guys aren't guessing. So I'll tell you, it's Trevor Lawrence. And I'm looking at Trevor Lawrence on my TV screen. He doesn't know how to play fucking quarterback. And guess who the number 2 behind Trevor Lawrence ever from 2025 all the way back to 2005? Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Guess who's number 2? He's on our fucking team, Justin Fields. So these people don't know anything. One thing you have to realize, if they don't have an agenda, then they're just stupid. There are a lot of dumb people all around football. Dumb and aggressive, which is a tough combo. I mean, just watch Matthew Stafford play. I mean, that's what a quarterback's supposed to look like, Matthew Stafford in general. So, you can't trust any of these people because either they have an agenda and there's money involved some kind of way, or they're just dumb. They're just dumb and have, psychological biases, and because they're dumb, they don't realize they have the biases. You know, so that's a problem. I realized there's a problem. So that's why we have the grading system we have. I did steal it from someone, but but made it my own, and so it didn't come out of my brain. But it's working out nicely. And one of the reasons we're grading all of these look at when Matthew Stafford misses, it's by like 2 inches. When Trevor Lawrence misses, it's by 3 yards. A big difference. But one of the reasons we do the live grading on Monday and Thursday nights is to tweak the system. And people like JoJo will remember, when it first started, I had the numerical multipliers off. It was too hard. Everybody was getting like a C. And I was like, man, this doesn't work. So we had to tweak it. Right, JoJo? Remember that? And so that's why we have these things. Here's a punt return going all the way back, but there's flags all the way. So this is getting called back, looks like. Punt return, touchdown, flags on the play. So that's why. So don't listen to all of these prospect rankings and garbage. It's all garbage. If you want anything, Tampa Jets fan, look at the composite one. The NFL database, I think it's called. I forget what it's called, actually. But just look at the composite one that looks at all the rankings. It's sort of like a delta, type of situation, like an oracle. So that's what that's my rant on that. Now some of these, prospect rankings. So now when I highlight one of these chats, it goes green on my screen, but then it's kind of hard to. Well, anyways. Wild one, will the defensive pass rush show up today? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. We'll see. MC2 packing his bags. It could be, and hopefully. So here's my thoughts on MC2. Obviously, Jarvis Brownlee, seems like he's kind of going to get that job. So there's 2 things we could do with Michael Carter, in my opinion. Well, really 3 things. We could trade him, and that depends on what is being offered back, if it makes sense. 2, we could bench him. Or 3, next year we could try him out at free safety. I think he could be a good free safety. And then we would have Malachi Moore, Michael Carter, Jarvis Brownlee, Ahmad Gardner, and Stevens. And that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I wonder what we're going to do, but Carter being surprisingly going from questionable to out after 3 FPs during practice is surprising. So what does that mean? It could mean he just had symptoms on Saturday morning or whenever it was. Symptoms can come back, and in that case, he's out. I mean, it's just injury related. Or it could mean we're holding him out because we got a trade lined up. So we don't know. We'll see what happens. The next couple of weeks are very important for the future of this franchise. Are AG and Muji going to make some smart moves or not? Or are we just totally hosed? We'll find out. Goldstein, no, they didn't. They did not elevate Brandon Smith. They signed Isaiah Williams, and what transactions did they make? Hang on a second. There were some transactions yesterday, in case you missed it. Let me just find them. The Jets signed wide receiver Isaiah Williams to the active roster, released linebacker Mark Robinson, also activated linebacker Jamarcus Weston from IR, and elevated cornerback Corey Black and linebacker Jackson Sermon. Now, Jackson Sermon is a favorite of Mr. Dom C, so, had some fun telling him, attention, Dom C, this is not a drill. This is not a drill. Jackson Sermon is coming up for the game. So let's keep an eye on him. He'll probably just be on special teams. But let's see if he can make an impact on special teams. Also with Jamarcus, oh my goodness, Trevor Lawrence, what is going on here? Like what? I'm looking at maybe some of the worst quarterback play I've ever seen. What is he doing? What has happened? And they're 4-2. It's crazy. So anyway, it's kind of shocking to see how bad Lawrence is playing. Maybe he's just in a slump. I don't know. Um. Anyway, so we elevated Corey Black, the cornerback. He's going to be. These are all special teams moves. So our special team should be great. Corey Black is known as a special teamer, and then Jackson Sermon, he's going to make his mark on special teams, as well as Jamarcus Weston. Now, Jamarcus Weston is somebody to watch in the game. So we're probably not going to win. We're a very bad team right now. Who knows who's going to show up? What version of Fields is going to show up? What version of the offensive line is going to show up? What version of the defense is going to show up? We don't know. But one thing to watch is Jamarcus Weston. Can that kid do anything? That was a very interesting signing. He got a big signing bonus, and he did a bunch of everything at the University of Florida. Lawrence back to pass, throws deep to the left side, finally hits a pass. Okay. Guy was wide open. He threw it to him. Good. A little behind, but hey, better than 3 yards off. Trevor. So, this Jamarcus Weston kid played special teams, linebacker, defensive end, wide receiver at University of Florida. So this is a interesting guy. I don't know what he's going to be able to do on our team, but interesting nonetheless. So keep your eye on him. Let's figure out Weston's number so we can keep an eye on him. We will be going live over on Green Bean's channel, by the way. We'll probably be starting over there at 12:30 for those who like to join us over there. We have a lot of fun. Let's see what old Jamarcus Weston's number's going to be. I wonder if we could trade a guy like Chukwuma Okorafor. Remember we signed him? Backup tackle. Somebody want Chooks? Hey, get a 7th-round pick for Chooks. That'd be worth it. Jamarcus is 54. So let's keep a look out for Jamarcus Weston, 6'2", 235. See what he can do. 54 is the number. Well, something to keep your eye on. Let's see if Jelani Woods can be active today. That'd be nice. So there you go, Goldstein. But Josh Reynolds is also active. And let's see what Arian Smith can do. Let's get Arian Smith involved in the offense. Let's see what the kid can do. He's been doing everything we ask of him, but we're not throwing him the ball, so hasn't had much production. So let's see what Arian Smith can do. What about that? Trevor Lawrence looks over the middle and can't tell if that was a drop or a bad pass, but it's incomplete. 4th down. So the Jaguars continue to not convert. Let's see this pass. Threw it with velocity. Brian Thomas Jr. BTJ. That's a drop. Got to catch that, BTJ. That's in your hands, buddy. So can't blame the quarterback on that. Put it right on him. I don't know what's going on with BTJ. No bueno. That guy was looking like a great prospect last year. This year, not as much so. All right, so now they're going for a field goal. Mark said, "Che, yeah, I agree with you, Mark. This could be said. It applies to some of the Jet content providers. I agree with you. You got to be very careful with your information sources. Very careful, I would say. Now, we had a discussion about this a while ago, several years ago. But like your mind is like Fort Knox, right? It's like, think about it like this. Now, this doesn't apply to everybody. Some people's minds are like a fucking dumpster fire. But think about it from like a personal development type of thing. Your mind is like Fort Knox. It has all kinds of gold in there, right? And do you want to just let anybody into Fort Knox? Just let any old body, or do they have guards and really, angry dogs and monitoring systems and cameras? No, they prevent people from going in there for a reason because the things in there are very valuable, like the things in your mind. So who are you going to let infiltrate your mind? You going to let Connor Hughes in there? You know? Now, unfortunately, we got to let some of the beat writers in because they have the information, unfortunately. So there does have to be some of that. But otherwise, you should be very, very careful. Like, there's very few actually Jet content creators I actually watch, to be honest with you. And you notice I only go on Green Bean Show, the channel. That's it. I don't go on anybody else's channel. You got to be careful these days, Mark. It's very, it's dangerous out there. Old Dave, Jets fans in general fall victim to media bias. Yeah. Well, all those kind of things. And I do think the Jet fan right now is very toxic, Dave, because we aren't winning. People just want to win. And it's like, so anything that happens, they take the negative spin. You know what I mean? And you got to be careful. Like, you just got to be careful. And you got to try to call out the media, but it's very difficult too. So you got to filter people out. You got to block some people. Speaking of blocks, Tom Pelissero blocked me. You guys believe that? I just found this out yesterday. A couple of months ago, I called him out for being a douchebag. He was doing, it was annoying to me because a lot of times what the beat writers do, they'll just do work on behalf of the agents of players or coaches, right? This is another way that they manipulate reality, right? And I called him out on it. And I said, this is unethical journalism. I think it was about, I don't know who it was about, but he was doing some sort of bullshit for some player, and he was just putting out total bullshit that made no sense. And I called him out on it. I was like, you're doing, this is unethical. You're doing work for this guy's agent. Because he was trying to put whatever happened bad into a good light. He was basically trying to say that him getting cut was actually good. It's like, what? And then, so unbeknownst to me, he blocked me. So that just goes to show these people are complete unethical douchebags. And they know it. There's a bad throw. But pass interference. And they know it. So they'll just block your ass if you're not careful. I guess I went over the line there. Tom Pelissero doesn't like your boy Frankie. Doesn't like being called out for unethical journalism. Fucking douchebag. But these guys get away with all this shit, and no one ever calls them on it. That's why I get frustrated. No one ever calls them on it. And some people, like the Badlands brain deads over there, have them at their, they have a live event. Okay, give them applause for having a live event. That's cool. Have the fans, okay. But then they'll invite Dick Chimney and Zach Rosenblech and all these people and just be buddy-buddy with them. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy. See, like some of these comments that I'm seeing are already in green. Like this one from PC Salami has a different color green. I wonder why. And this one was in black. Yeah, Mendoza put up a quarterback rating so high I didn't know that the score went that high. I mean, he had 4 incompletions, and he threw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, good Jesus. Could you be any better? Hard to imagine. And the Rams look like they're going to go up 21-0. I mean, just watch, Matt. If you want to know what it's supposed to look like from the quarterback position, just watch Matthew Stafford. Doesn't mean he hits every throw. Doesn't mean he makes a mistake every once in a while, etc. But if you just want to see high level, this guy is just high level. I mean, it's unbelievable how good he is. He's just an elite quarterback right now. And keep in mind, this is something else with quarterbacks that I like to use Stafford as a good example. Before his age 27 season, He never had a season over 65% completion percentage, just using one little tiny stat as an example. Completion percentage is not everything, but this is a good example. Before he was 27, he never had a season above 65%. At 27, age 27 season and after, he never had a completion percentage below 65%. And I think that speaks to some of the renaissance we've seen in the league. Maybe it's just a matter of these guys' brains evolving over time, keeping in mind that the average, oh, he might not have got in. He might be at the 1 yard line. The average male brain doesn't finish evolving and developing until age 26. And then at age 27, all these guys are suddenly, peaking. I don't think it's a coincidence. And of course, nobody in the football community will tell you that except old Frankie. Right? Because most people in football are just very, very dumb. It's just the way it goes. They've spent their whole life smashing their fucking skulls together with other people's skulls. You know what I mean? Their favorite subject in school was recess. But what about that? Anybody talking about that? No? Oh. So I don't know how I got on that tangent, but Mendoza looked good. Yeah. No, AG isn't lying, playing around. He was on the injury report, if you remember. So if AG was lying, playing around with the injury report, PC, that would be a very serious violation. And also, if the player doesn't report something, that's on the player. But he was on the injury report that 1 week. But he was a full participant. So AG and the Jets, you really cannot fuck around with injuries. But if the player doesn't say anything's wrong, there's nothing you could do. What are you gonna do? So let's not blame him for things that are not accurate. Dave, yeah. So let's see. I mean, the next few weeks are super important. Lazard, can we get something for Lazard? Can we get something for Chuks Okorafor? Can we get something for these people, for all these people, for Tony Adams, for for any of these players, Quincy, Michael Carter, etc. We need to stockpile picks. The season's over. We need to just see what we can get for these people. And then, Aaron Smith's got to be. Aaron Smith would be number one, but then, if B. Smitty could come up and do something, Skinner. I mean, it's unlikely those guys will make any impact, but you never know. And it'd be nice to find out if we have something on the practice squad that could be useful next year. I don't know, Tampa. It doesn't really matter. The only reason, I mean, at some point, they're going to have to make a decision about, okay, is Justin Fields even allowing us to evaluate what we got because he's playing so bad? Now, I don't know. They gave him a lot of money. They spent the offseason pumping him up. At some point, though, you got to say, all right, it's not, it is Justin. We're going to put him into, make him a backup, and because we got to evaluate all these other people. How are we going to evaluate our, the thing AG has to really consider is I got to evaluate my OC. I got to evaluate my O-line. How am I going to evaluate these people if I have a quarterback who won't pull the trigger on a fucking throw? Right? So probably I would say the next two games, and then we got to bye. So I would say probably the next two games, Fields plays the whole games, unless it goes, really, really bad. And then if we make a change, it'll probably be at the bye. That's typically how it works. And this is one of the dangers of hiring, rookies. We got a rookie head coach. We got a rookie O-line coach. We got a rookie offensive coordinator, And we tried to paper over with experience. Like we do have Scott Turner on the staff. We do have Steve Wilkes on the staff. He has tons of experience. We do have the assistant O-line coach is experienced. The special teams coach, Banjo, is a first-timer rookie, but we have his assistant is a long-time guy. So we did try, and with Muji, we have, Spielman there. So we did try to address the lack of experience by putting experienced people next to these people. So far, it doesn't, it obviously hasn't worked. So it's like, nice try. Ryan Garcia Caves. Trevor Lawrence confounds me. That's confusing, right? Ryan, the man has every tool you could want for a quarterback, and he's playing like total dog doo doo. Let's look up just for kicks and giggles. Matthew Stafford has a passer rating of 130. Well, meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence, 62.5. No bueno. Lawrence is 6 out of 12 for 54 yards. Very, very bad. Matthew Stafford, on the other hand, 15 out of 20, 127 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, the contrast here is pretty stark, right? It's like, man, you want to see high level play? Look at Stafford. Want to see low level play? Look at Lawrence. I mean, geez. Yeah, maybe it's let's blame the rain. London rain. It rains. How often does it rain in London, Phil? Every day? Every other day? And if, I guess it's even more impressive for Stafford to have to play in this if it's bad. Look at that throw. What is this guy doing? I mean, Stafford's putting up numbers. He's playing in the same weather. And I guess you could say that's I mean, this is embarrassing. Are they going to pull him or what? I mean, this man makes $55 million. This isn't some rookie. This is this is a generational talent. When they say generational talent, they don't talk about the brain talent, which is the most important thing for a quarterback. You need the physical stuff, of course, but so I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on. Maybe he's just in a slump. Here's a deep pass down the right sideline. He's got a man wide open. They're saying he's out of bounds. Wow. He threw a wounded duck up there. Was he out of bounds? He was standing right there. Why'd he go out of bounds? Washington. I think he caught it. These receivers, they're a lot better than you think. Every time they show a replay, it seems like they're actually in bounds. They're not going to challenge? I mean, Trevor Lawrence can't buy a completion. They're not going to challenge that. Looked like he had his toes in. How about a little challenge, Liam? Nope. Now they call timeout. Maybe they'll take a look at it. I think he got the toes and he didn't put the heels down. Yeah. Wild one. Right now, Lazard's our best receiver. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. If we can get something for Lazard, we got to take it. Some point, you just got to break it down. Look to next year. We got to stockpile picks. We need to find a third-round pick somehow. We don't have a third-round pick. And we have so many holes on the roster. I mean, yeah, exactly, Mark. Sunshine Salami. So you want us to call you Sunshine PC? Sunshine Salami. All right, now here's Lawrence doing. Oh, he throws for some reason. Got a man wide open. Well, there you go. There's a completed pass. Attaboy. Was he past the line of scrimmage, you might want to wonder. It was close. Thought he was going to run for it, but he had a man wide open. And he was able to hit him, so that's good. Hey, another completion for Lawrence. How about that? Yeah. No, we're not going to be able to poach anything. I mean, the Browns, if you think about it, the Browns really can't be trading any offensive linemen that are good. The Browns basically need wide receivers and offensive line very badly, and then they need to figure out quarterback, of course. So I don't think they're going to be getting rid of any good offensive linemen. Yeah, Pelissero's a wanker. Okay, but I mean, he's one of the biggest NFL insiders in the world. I mean, I don't care about it, but it just goes to show you how the media works, right? Yeah, just stick to a handful. I mean, some of these people are just out there, man. Yeah. All right. Well, Lawrence now getting into a rhythm, so this is good. Maybe found something here. Let's hope so for his sake. Man makes $55 million. Something. Reese Lightning, that Mendoza kid looks good. Yeah, looked pretty good. Oh yeah, Sunshine Salami. He knows what's going on. Well, the good news is these comments are coming through, and so that is good. Duncan Lloyd is here. Rain in London is a lot like the rain in Seattle. Yeah, and the rain in Spain is falling mainly on the plain. 21-0. Second quarter, 156 remaining, but the Jaguars are driving. Can they get some points on the board in the first half? Sunshine Salami. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's been Fields' problem his whole career. And we were hoping maybe he could improve. We were hoping what he showed in Pittsburgh maybe he could continue, but it's looking increasingly like that's not happening. Hire John Gruden's here. Yes, I have been saying hire John Gruden. Simpson's my number one. Number two, Mendoza. They're very close. So Simpson's the one I've graded out the most, and yesterday he got an A. The first time any quarterback's got an A in the Frankie grading system. So, yes, sir. I assume this means Golston. Do you think Cleveland will hang on to Sanders? I don't think anybody knows what the fuck Cleveland's doing, including Clevelanders. I don't think anybody knows what the hell they're doing. Are they going to fire the coach? Are they going to fire the GM? Are they going to stick with Gabriel? Are they going to hold on to Sanders? Are they going to draft a quarterback? Are they waiting for Arch Manning because the owner, Jimmy Haslam, is great friends with the Manning family? Is he just waiting to get Arch? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the hell the Browns are doing. But I will say this. They did stockpile, draft picks. They got 2 first-round picks this year. And, of course, a bunch of other picks. So they have done a good job of stockpiling draft picks. And they had a very good draft last year. If you think about it, they traded down. They got the defensive tackle, Graham. He's doing well. They got Schlesinger in the second round. He's doing well. They got the 2 quarterbacks. And so they have a lot of talent on that team. They have Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward. They got Quinshon Judkins, another rookie last year, also doing very well. They have all these people. And so now the offensive line has started to break down forever. They had a great O-line there, and now they're starting to get old and break down a bit, so they need to restock the offensive line, and they need wide receivers very badly. But so you figure one of their first-round picks is definitely going to be a wide receiver. At least one. Might be both. But it all depends what they want to do at the quarterback position. I would think they're going to use at least the back half of the season, or the back part of the season. There's another bad throw by Lawrence. The back part of the season to evaluate Sanders, right? At some point he's got to come in, probably, especially if Gabriel isn't lighting it up, which he has not been so far. That was not an accurate pass by Lawrence. There's only so much Travis Hunter can do. He doesn't have 72-inch arms. I mean, 4th and 7. Jesus. So if LA gets a stop, it'll be a first half shutout. Excuse me. They called timeout. Man. Hire John Gruden says Cleveland probably drafting quarterback. Also Mendoza. Yeah. Cleveland defense is nice. Well, it should be nice, but it hasn't ranked very nice. It can be nice at times. It should be dominant. I don't understand why it's not dominant. They have a good DC. I don't understand what's going on over there. I mean, they got a shutdown corner. They just made a trade for Tyson Campbell. They traded Newsom, I guess, to get Campbell on multiple years. Newsom going to be a free agent. So that was kind of a head scratcher of a trade, except Newsom, they figured let's get the control of Campbell on his contract. But all right, Lawrence now. Let's see if he can convert something. 4th and 7 in the shotgun. You got trips, bunch right. Thomas exit motion to the right. Looks to the right. Looks to the right. Can't find anybody. Now scrambling to his left. And he's not going to make the line to gain. This is terrible quarterback play. You can't run and not make it. It was 4th down. You have to throw the ball. What is going on? Jesus. And Jared Verse runs him down. Nice to have big, athletic, strong defensive linemen like that. So Jacksonville, boy, oh boy, are they going to pull this guy? I mean, what is Liam Cohen going to do here? I mean, this is concerning. Put it that way. Very concerning. But, I pay attention to the Browns, actually, because I think the Browns are probably the closest thing to us in the league. A team with a very passionate fan base, sort of urban-based, and, a bad owner. Jimmy Haslam's one of the worst 5, just like us with Woody. They have made really bad decisions, including the Deshaun Watson debacle. They've had bad injury luck as well, obviously. And they've had talented teams. They made a bad choice with Baker, it looks like, obviously. And they've had a little more success than we have. Don't forget that, Kevin Stefanski has made the playoffs 2 times in his tenure there, 5-6 years, which is more than we can say, But and he's also won 2-time Coach of the Year, and because of that, they've had a little bit more stability with him and Andrew Berry over there. So you could say maybe their situation is a little bit better than ours. I wouldn't argue that. But they haven't found their quarterback either. They went all in on Deshaun Watson, and that was terrible. But I pay attention to them because I like to kind of pay attention to some of the ghetto teams that we are in the ghetto with around the league. And I like the intelligent Cleveland Brown fans, the ones that I watch on YouTube. By the way, if you're interested in the Cleveland Browns, I would recommend highly the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Excellent if you're interested in the Browns at all. And the best guy on there is called G. Bush. That guy knows what he's talking about. If you're looking for Cleveland Browns content. But even they don't know what they're going to do. Like they have no idea if they're going to go for a quarterback with their their top pick, or ride it out with Gabriel and Sanders, or try to get a veteran, or they don't know. All they know is the obvious, which is they need a wide receiver desperately. And they need to rebuild the O-line, which used to be their strength, but it's breaking down now as guys are getting older and injuries and so forth. So nobody really knows. And the Rams are now going into kneel down formation. So the Rams are going to go into the locker room 21-0 with Trevor Lawrence looking like absolute dog doo-doo. Oh, boy. If this continues and Jacksonville then stumbles, everybody was all excited about Jacksonville. They're 4-1. Well, now they're 4-2. And now they're, hey, they got it going on. Liam Cohen and James Gladstone Bag, or whatever his name is. And by the way, Travis Hunter has not graded out very well, either on offense or defense. So maybe you should concentrate on one of those things. Old Dave, I guess having girl hair doesn't help quarterback play. Lawrence looking rough. Yeah, and the weird thing is he's in all these commercials, right? He did all the commercials in the offseason, took all that money, like you're some kind of superstar, and now you're playing like dog doo-doo. Not good. RPM Red Shogun, good to see you. Yeah, G. Bush is awesome. So, some of the things I look at is there's two things. One, you got to be knowledgeable, and am I learning anything when you're talking to me? And then number two, do you do it in an entertaining way? Are you good for TV, as they used to say? Are you putting any sauce on it, they used to say? And he does both. Super knowledgeable, knows what he's talking about, and just presents information in an entertaining way. Very, very good. Very, very good. And you learn about football. I mean, he's so knowledgeable. I'll just learn stuff about football, which, is one of the things I look for. I don't know, Phil. We're not only in the ghetto, we're also in the trailer park, and we're also in a single wide in the trailer park. That's obvious. We're like that trailer with the dog chained up that won't start barking, because nobody ever feeds it, That's us. And we don't even have a double wide. Double wides are luxuries in the trailer park. So yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. But the only thing that gives us hope is the last 4 trades that Muji has made have all been excellent. So let's hope. The thing is, what I'm telling you guys is the next 2 weeks are crucial to understanding what kind of regime we have here. This year was a throwaway. We were trying to see if Fields could take a step up, and maybe we find a diamond in the rough. We find the next Renaissance player. Didn't work. All right. And now you're seeing Malachi Moore start to play, and you're starting to see we got Jarvis Brown-Lee. Looks like he's going to be our nickel cornerback for the next few years. All right. You're starting to see Kiko Mauagowa, and he's doing good, so far. Let's hope he keeps it up. So this foundation that Glenn is talking about, maybe that's what he's talking about. Kiko and Jarvis and, maybe Aaron Smith starts to get it going, and Mason Taylor's been good so far, and Membu basically has had only one bad game, and the rest he's been pretty solid. So that's the foundation. Now, the next 2 weeks is going to be how smart can Darren Muji and Glenn be with regard to these trades. We've seen multiple reports come out in the media saying that teams are, in fact, calling about the players on our roster. So there is demand for some of these players. We speculate who those players are. Some we don't want to get rid of, like JJ and Willie Mack. Others we'd be much more willing to part with, like MC2. Obviously Lazard, if the Steelers want to give us a 7th-round pick or something. Other guys like that. Guys on expiring contracts, Quincy. So there is demand for our players. Let's see because what you're going to start to see with these trades, which there should be at least some, is the vision that these people actually have. The first year, they didn't have their whole staff here. Muji didn't have his whole staff until the end of the summer, etc. And AG's a first-timer. He's a rookie. He's just getting used to things. And they did the best they could. And they took a shot on Fields, and looks like that's not, working out. It's understandable to take a shot. It just didn't work out. It's okay. But now they have their full staffs here. They've had a chance to settle in and evaluate things. And let's see the direction that they take the team. That's basically what we're looking at here. And so I think it's a crucial 2 weeks. If we see two or three really smart trades that make a lot of sense, then you can have some confidence going into the offseason that maybe they know what the hell they're doing, and give them a mulligan on the first year and let's see what it looks like in the offseason and then next year. Right. So I think these next 2 weeks are critical. November 4th is the big day. That's the deadline day. All the time up till then. And then for the games, we just start evaluating people. Is Jamarcus Weston somebody who could do something, or is he just not really? Is Kiko Mawagoa going to sustain his play, or did he just have one nice game? Or is he actually a player, or did he just have one nice game? All these type of things. Is Olu going to get his head out of his ass? Let's hope Olu Fashanu gets his head out of his ass and starts playing like we all know he can play. Otherwise, we might have to start thinking about moving him to guard, which I don't want to think about. But we do have Asa Pole. Does Asa Pole get some run here? What about Asa? Anybody thinking about him? Oh, Frankie is. So these are the type of things that we got to take a look at in a lost season. It's a mulligan season, unfortunately. And so that's where we are. There goes the neighborhood. Yeah, he's been abysmal. Hire John Gruden, but he's not getting fired, bud. So you could say he should this, that, and the other thing. Everything that we know, he gets 2 to 3 years. Interesting thing about John Gruden, by the way. I wonder if he goes back to college. It's been reported that he wants to get back into coaching and that he might be interested in getting into the college game. That'd be really interesting. I'm a big John Gruden fan. I think he's great. I would have liked him for the Jets, but now that we hired Glenn, he gets 2 to 3 years, I think. I don't think Woody's going to make a move. I just don't. We're paying him too much money. And what we have to hope with Glenn is that he improves. Let's just hope he improves. He's been bad. There's no two ways about it. Game management, terrible. Dealing with the media, terrible. I don't know when we're going to get a coach who knows how to handle the media. That's a big part of the job. But part of the problem is a lot of these guys that we get are coordinators, and they just have their mind on football, football, football. They don't think too much about the media. They just think, I'll go up there and tell them some football stuff, and that'll impress them. And it's like, no, that's not how it works, guy. Not how it works. So anyway, we're at halftime during the London game here. Jaguars not looking good. Rams are looking good. Jaguar fans have to be going, what is going on with our quarterback? That is concerning. All right, let's check the Jet beat writers for any information. No information coming out that I can see. Rich Cimini posting his normal bullshit. Yeah, what's funny is the Browns, going back to the Browns and talking about Travis Hunter. So everybody thought the Browns were going to take Travis Hunter at 2. They traded back and got Mason Graham instead. And Travis Hunter has not been great. Yet, anyway. I mean, maybe he will be. Yeah, here's somebody saying the Jaguars traded 2 firsts, a second, and change for the chance to draft Travis Hunter. The Jaguars traded 2 firsts? That's a huge overpay. Hunter is a good, not special. This is his opinion. Hunter is a good, not special wide receiver and a good, not special cornerback. I think it's a real mistake, but Hunter is a good starting wide receiver, this person says. But think about that trade. That was a great trade for the Browns. Now, they still need a wide receiver, so you could say, well, wait a minute. They could have just taken Travis Hunter to be wide receiver. But that trade won't play out for the next couple of years. The Browns have 2 first-round picks and more next year. And so I think the Browns are in an interesting spot, just like the Jets. It's kind of like why I like following their content creators. So it doesn't seem to be anything going on. The Jet players are arriving at the stadium. We don't know who the inactives are. I guess we'll stay on here till 11:30 or so till we figure out who the inactives are. We could talk about that. But then starting at 12:30, we um, we will be over on the Green Bean channel doing a live watch along. We're talking about J.J. McCarthy not returning till week 9. Excuse me. And so yeah, not a lot going on as far as the Jets are concerned. And of course, Rich Cimini's bringing up negative stats and negative information because that's what he does. Yoto 9326. Yeah, I would take a fourth for Brees. Yeah, at this point, what can you expect? He's a rental. Now that being said, you have to do an analysis. The Jets have to know: do we want Brees on the team long term? If we want Brees here and we're going to offer him a long term contract, then no, we don't. But I don't know what their plans are. But um, assuming they don't want to offer him a long term contract or even franchise him, which they could, then take the fourth. Then if they don't extend him, if you really want him, you could re-sign him in the offseason and then have him and the fourth. That'd be nice. But it all depends on what their plan at running back is. Do they think that Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis and a $2 million running back three, just get a veteran, whoever, good enough? So, but yeah, we need to be stockpiling picks. I mean, we need to start stockpiling picks because the roster is just too barren. And if you think you can get equivalent production out of Allen and Davis, then take the pick. And I like Brees. I don't want to trade him, but we need to explore every way to improve the roster moving forward. And if Brees isn't part of the future, why wouldn't you take the pick? All right, old Dave. You got to listen to the wifey, I guess. I think Hall wants to return to the Jets. Well, you don't think anybody wants to return to the Jets, Harlan. What do you know? You're a Vikings, Redskins fan. But again, when you're competitive in the market, if you give him the most money, he's going to come to you. It's just that simple. The old nobody wants to come to the Jets routine. Yeah, we've seen that one before. Seen that one before. But the good news is that this Chat Ninja thing within OBS is working. And it's working splendidly. It's not perfect, but I think it works pretty good. So now I'm going to start exploring other things. Looks like I'm going to be doing these live streams and videos from OBS. Hi, Karate is here. Good morning. He says to FSPN. You notice the FSPN logo not here because we're in OBS right now, and I have to figure out how to put it there. But this thing is performing pretty good as a software. I can get the chats up here, and we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Aaron Glenn has arrived. People are pointing out that Bill O'Brien, if you remember him, is now 1-5 as the head coach of Boston College. And Bill Belichick, of course, is like 2-5 or 2-4 or something like that at North Carolina. And they're saying, it really was Tom Brady that whole time. Aaron Smith has arrived. So, yeah, not really much news as far as the Jets are concerned. This game, well, they're interviewing Liam Cohen like he has something insightful to say. Now, the running game for these teams has not materialized. Los Angeles has 45 yards on the ground. That's not terrible. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have 26. Bad, 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 bad. Sunshine Salami would be great if we could get Grease re-signed in the pick, but I think it's doubtful. Nah, I disagree. I mean, people like Jet fans often just have the catastrophic mindset of just going to extremes. If you offer a guy the most money, guaranteed, you don't have to go. You don't have to give out McCagnon contracts. But if you're up at the top, why wouldn't he come back? These guys have to take the most money because they have the shortest careers. So you can make it work. You can make it work if you want to, but probably Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis are probably the future, and we let him go so we just get the pick. All right, game's back on now. Rams have the ball. Now, if they can convert here and then continue and drive down, it's going to be very tough for these Jaguars. Stafford, off his back foot, precise flag on the play. I mean, pairing up Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams is just like a work of art, isn't it? I mean, you have one of the most precise route runners in NFL history, and then you have one of the most precise throwers of the ball in NFL history. Looks like it's on the defense, so this will continue down. So PC Sunshine Salami is now number one on the leaderboard of the commenters. So some of you commenters, really need to step up your game. I mean, if Sunshine Salami is number one, what does that say about you? You got to really take a look. Take a hard look, like Jeff Ulbrich. Take a hard look at your commenting. Why are you so low on the leaderboard? Salami's number one. You got Phil Adams number two. I mean, some of you need to work a little harder at this. I mean, some of you, your efforts are kind of piss poor. Let's be honest. So it's offsetting penalties. So now 3rd down and 4 again. Stafford back to pass rush coming, gets rid of it, and goes incomplete. So the Jaguars are able to get a stop thanks to a penalty, and now they got some life at least, because if the Rams went down here, and really the receiver should have had this. Well, it was a tough play, though. I put it right on his face mask. Well, at least they held, and now Trevor Lawrence will see if he can figure out how to throw a pass. Phil says, you're the MVP. Yeah, but Mark, how come you're not higher up on the leaderboard? I mean, you got PC over here, Sunshine Salami. You got Phil the Rainmaker Adams, number 2. Coming in from England, where it rains every day. Phil, you also didn't answer my question. How many days a year is it raining in London? because the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain. But what about the rain in London town? That's the thing we don't know. And because Pittsburgh is really the worst. I mean, Pittsburgh is actually more cloudy days in Pittsburgh than Seattle. That's the worst. But all this is going on, and Mark's over here, not even on the leaderboard. I mean, what's going on here? You know, you got Sunshine Salami, you got the Rainmaker Adams. What about Sanchetti? You know, you feel me? I'm not seeing the effort that is required to make it up the leaderboard. So the Giants are playing the Broncos. It'll be interesting to see how that game goes. Jackson Dart against that defense. And they're getting Dre Greenlaw back. So that'll be, I mean, talk about a defense getting even more ferocious. Jesus. Dun, dun. So, no Jet headlines. Not as many as it used to. Driest on record. Huh. Well, I guess that's good. Well, sometimes I blame. Sometimes people say things that, you know. Sometimes the trolls get me. I'll say that. You know, trollish behavior. I don't mind disagreements, but trolls, I don't like. I gotta be honest with you, Sunshine. Yeah, I really dislike the trolls. You know, somebody like Green Bean, he doesn't mind the trolls, to be honest with you. All right, now Lawrence, can we get a drive? Can we get something going? Let's go, $55 million man with the girly hair. All right, there's a little drop off to the running back. Yeah, get a little drive starter. All right, not bad, good. Get it going. Low difficulty level. What we'd call routine in our grading system. Goldstein. Yeah, well, they're using him properly, Goldstein. That's what he is. He's a third down pass rush specialist. What's the problem? But the issue is you don't want to pay him $17 million, which is what the Eagles paid him. So that was the problem. The Eagles paid him $17 million to be a third down pass rush specialist. That's a lot of money. We aren't going to go there. Nothing to do with us. I know a lot of Jet fans are going to want everything that goes on with ex-Jets to be about the Jets. But we weren't going to pay him $17 million to be a third down pass rush specialist. Somebody else want to do that? Good for Bryce Huff. We weren't going to do it. Makes sense. But, of course, if you can get somebody else to pay him, like the Eagles, and you get him cheap, like the 49ers, that was a good trade for the 49ers. And they're going to use him like he should be used. So that's good. I would say. That's to be expected. Now here's Lawrence back to throw. Oh, see, Lawrence now just doing very routine throws. But if you get yardage, hey, do it. Let's see, Bryce, Edge, San Francisco. Yeah, he's doing what you would expect him to do. 19 total pressures, 3 sacks. Yeah, this is what he does. Poor tackling, 20% missed tackle rate. Poor tackling, poor run defense, and he rushes the. This is what he is. I mean, he is what he is. He is what we thought he was. Yeah, he's being used properly now. You can't expect more out of a guy. He is what he is. And if you use them properly, you'll get the results that you want. If you don't, you don't. But yeah. All right. So it's 11:19 right now. So we got 10 minutes to wait for the inactives. I'm curious to see who's going to be inactive today. Obviously, it's going to be Michael Carter and Stiggers and well, but we're going to have 7 inactives because we called up 2 people. So curious to see. Cam Jones will be out, inactive. Um, and Garrett most likely be out. There's a slim chance he could. They didn't rule him out yesterday, so it's another pass behind the receiver that's almost picked off, but they call a flag. Throw a flag. Flag on the play. By the way, I did order a bag of Fuck the Refs coffee, so I'll have that here soon to show on screen when watching these games on Monday and Thursday nights. Pass interference defense. Because I think we need to have that as a visual reminder that these refs are ruining the game. And we are going to do a full review of the rule book and give the Frankie recommendations of how to make this game. Yeah, that was definitely. You had to call that one. You just, yeah, that's you can't do that. 31. So that one's not on the refs, but a lot of times it is, and it needs to be pointed out. And just like I exposed Tom Pelissero straight as an arrow, not so much. Ooh, that's a drop. We got to expose the refs. These stupid refs. And one of the things is that there's way too many rules for them to officiate. We're going to want to consolidate that down. A lot of things, for example, could just be unnecessary roughness. There's a lot of penalties that are like specific things that could just be consolidated under unnecessary roughness. We already have the rule for that. We don't need extra rules for different kinds of unnecessary roughness, like roughing the passer, for example. Yeah, this is a good point by Sunshine over here. This is a good point, PC. Yeah, this goes for me too. Once we didn't bring anybody, not one person from that defense, it was like, that's pretty strange. I mean, even a guy like Ife Melifonwu went to Miami. I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Sunshine. That was one of the red flags. There were a number in the offseason. One was we're going to let Justin play quarterback. Another one was our defensive bus is going to be driven from the back. You know. But yeah, this was I mean, and you see it all over the league. It's not just Saleh, of course. You see it all over the league. Guys want their guys. Dan Quinn does it. Everybody does it. They want their guys who know their system. They don't have to teach it over and over, and then those guys can teach the new guys. It's just a common thing. You don't want to overdo it, but usually one or two guys, makes sense. You don't want to do the Rodgers plan where you just bring in every Packer you can get your hands on. You don't need to do that. But, one or two guys makes sense. As Lawrence almost throws a pick on a screen. Boy, he is 13 out of 25. No bueno. And, hey, there's a pass completed. All right. Refs are horrible. Yeah, there's been an for those who don't know, there's been an academic study published by UTEP, I believe it is, or I forget. I think it was UTEP. There's an academic study showing that the refs, yes, over the last, I don't know how many years, 5, 10 years, the refs do favor the Kansas City Chiefs over any of the other teams. It's been now proven by academic researchers. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's actually real. The Chiefs get more calls than the other teams. It's a real thing. My goodness. He just can't do basic things. He's looking like Zach Wilson out there. God's sakes, man. This is like tall, hair flowy Zach Wilson. Throwing it over his guys' heads. That's a Zach Wilson throw. Holy smokes. What is going on? What is happening? Liam Cohen's got to be furious. 4th and 2, but nonetheless, they're still in the game. Even after all this badness, they really could claw their way back into the game. They're only down 3 scores. There's a lot of time left, and they're at the plus 30-yard line. But 4th down, they don't take the field goal. They go for it, and it's incomplete. So they don't take the points. They go for it. They throw the ball with a guy who hasn't been throwing it very well, and that's another bad throw. Holy smokes, man. I think Lawrence would grade out as an F- if I were grading him on this game. That's really surprising, man. You should make a referee useless call chart. You know, this is an interesting thought, Karate. Somebody should track this shit. Maybe next year, Karate. And just have their names. That would be interesting. This guy, and their names. The line judge, Billy McMillie, made a call and was way, way off. But then, of course, you'd have to, that's a lot of work. But then you could, because one of the things I would say in my video about the rules is we need to grade these refs, and there needs to be a minimum standard of excellence. And if you can't hit the minimum, then you go on a PIP, and then if you don't hit it the next year, you're out. Right? Just like any other job. If you don't do your job, you get a PIP, right? You guys ever work a job and you get a PIP? Or as a manager, you got to do a PIP. It's really annoying to do as a manager. But it's a performance improvement plan. And if the person doesn't improve, then they get fired. And it should be the same with the refs, and I don't understand why not. Now, the refs have a strong union, so you're going to have to negotiate this, but fuck it. Negotiate it. Get some balls and negotiate this. It's only going to change if we, the fans, make enough noise about it. That's the way I see it. But that's going to be part of it, where somebody needs to be grading these people, and if we need to grade them, we'll do it ourselves. God damn it. We'll grade these fuckers. And if I come up with a grading system for the refs, it's going to be sweet, because there's going to be a category called ruining the game call. Not just, how many, I could come up with some stuff. Be a roughing the pussy call. Oh, you touched the guy's shoulder, roughing the pussy. We can't have that. So there's certain things we can't have. There's certain kinds of mistakes that are egregious, and certain other kind of mistakes that are okay, I could kind of see that. And excuse me. So we'll do that. Maybe. That's a good idea by Karate. Mr. Magoo call. Yeah, anybody could see it. Why? How are you so blind, motherfuckers? How'd you miss that? Yeah, missed calls would be some of them. Not just the calls you make. What about the calls you missed? Of course, you probably need all 22 footage for this, of course, which we do have. Oh, the backup is Nick Mullins. I wonder if they go to the backup at any point. This is one of the worst games I've seen from a quarterback. 14 out of 28, 50%. A 65.5 rating, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The only reason he doesn't have a horrible rating is he's not throwing picks. So Very, very bad. But the Jacksonville rushing attack is non existent. 11 rushes for 28 yards. That's a 2.5 average. That's very bad. Whereas the rushing attack for Los Angeles is 11 for 45, 4.1. Not great, but at least okay. Yeah, please do, as Sunshine Salami mentions, please do hit the like button. You know, one of the negatives about this OBS, at least as it is right now, I can't see how many people are in the chat. You know, the other services tell me that. This one, I have no idea. So we got to continue to build out some of these plugins. But yeah, please give a like to the video. It helps out. Also consider subscribing to the channel if you're not, and also consider joining the inner circle. We need to start scouting these college quarterbacks. We got a whole grading system for QBs, and I can't watch all the games. I mean, I was sitting there watching college football from 12 noon to 12 midnight last night and only got to grade 6 quarterbacks. So there's a whole lot of quarterbacks to be graded. And some of these quarterbacks are just falling away from consideration. Others are staying in consideration, but there's other people I haven't even seen at all, like Maeva and a whole bunch of them. There's just too many of these fuckers. Phil says there's like 33 likes. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't refresh. But nonetheless, please do give a like to the video. It's very helpful to the channel. Tells the algorithm that people want the Frankie content. We're coming up on 11:30 now, so we should get the inactives here shortly. Yeah, here we go. Garrett Wilson, inactive. Michael Carter II, inactive. Quantez Diggers, inactive. Cam Jones, inactive. Asa Pohl, inactive. Jelani Woods, inactive. And Tyler Barron, inactive. So Tyler Barron continues to be one of the worst moves that Muji made this offseason. Can't even get on the field. And so Wilson misses the game. He'll probably be back next week. Asa Pohl. And so Jelani Woods, we acquired him. He never plays. That's kind of surprising and disappointing. Was kind of hoping we would see some more 12 personnel in this game, and if that was the case, if it was 12 personnel heavy, you'd want to have 4 tight ends available. Right now we have 3, which is okay, but you know, it tells me they're maybe not going to 12 personnel heavy personnel groupings. So we'll have to see. Brock Bowers and Jacoby Myers are inactive for the Raiders. Do, 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 do. All right. So there you go. Wilson not able to make it. Probably next week for him, or maybe he waits till after the bye. And Jelani, I would say the only other one that was at least a little surprising, Jelani Woods just can't get on the field. So that's a little disappointing, I would say. Some news here. Brandon Graham is considering unretiring to rejoin the Eagles. Oh boy, these Eagles. These people never go away. I kind of thought he might do that, actually. And I guess that's because Darius Smith unexpectedly retired. Now Brandon Graham might unretire. Well, the Eagles, we'll see how that works out for them. Here's some news. The Dolphins are making a change to their quarterback depth chart for today's game, as Quinn Ewers will serve as the backup to Tua Tagovailoa for their matchup against the Browns. This is the first game active for the rookie 7th rounder, which means Zach Wilson has fallen to 3rd string in Miami. Interesting. Not sure what to think about that, other than it's not good for Zach, obviously. I'm not seeing the Panthers actives or inactives. So, yeah, some of the Jet beat writers are commenting on Zach Wilson demoted to third string. They're saying no surprises in our inactives. So there you have it. No Jelani Woods, no Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, this is the first game he will miss in his entire career so far. So we'll see if he's able to make it back next week. But Josh Reynolds back to wide receiver one, as everybody anticipated before the season. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you at 12:30 over on Green Bean's channel. And Ai Karate, no. He's a CFL quarterback, bud. So I'll see you over at Green Bean Channel 12:30. Subscribe, join the inner circle, all the good things. Like